Hello guys and welcome to Quipoin. So in the last video we discussed about the margin and padding of the CSS, and we looked into different types of margin and padding and how to apply the margin and padding and what are the difference between margin and padding. So in this video we are going to look into the border and outline of the CSS. They are the most important property and one of the most confusing property of the CSS and most confusing property of the CSS. So without any further delay, hit that like button, subscribe to Quipoin, and let's get started. Now, what is border and what is outline? These two may sound same and these two visually appear same, but they are very different from one another and they are totally different in CSS. Border, as I discussed in the previous video, is nothing but it is the outline of the content or outline of the element padding. Okay, that is the border. So what is the outline? Let's look into it. First, let's create again h1. Okay, let's create a h1 and let's say border example. Okay, border example. Now I have a h1 tag with border example and let's style it. Okay, so border is again your property, so it will go inside the h1 tag and I'll just write the border. Now I have given a black border to it. I'll just change the color. I'll just make it blue. Okay, so we have added a blue border and let's give padding to it. We already learned how to give padding. If you have a doubt, you can go and watch your previous video and let's give a padding of 10x, or better, let's give it a 20x padding. Now we have a border, okay, around the h1 with a blue color. So border is basically the part of box model of the CSS. Now what is this box model? You don't have to worry about it. Box model we will be covering in the next video, and this is very important to the CSS. So just remember that the border is part of box model. That means if you change the border, it will change the height and width of the element. Remember one thing, whenever the property is the part of the box model, it will affect the height and width of the element. So I say border is the part of box model and it will affect the height and width of the element. But outline is not the part of box model, so it will not affect the element. It will not affect the height and width of the element. Rather, outline appears just above the border. Outline surrounds the border and border surrounds the padding. This is the difference between border and outline. Most of the developer get confused in it, but this is the very basic thing that we have to remember while adding an outline on or a border to your button or any field. Now let's take an example and look into the difference. If this is a border, so how will the outline look? So if I write outline and I give a 2px outline which is solid and which is red in color. Okay, so you see how it didn't affect the element, rather it covered the border. If I increase it, okay, 5px, So you can see how it surrounds the border, how outline surrounds the border. Let's give a margin to the H1. Let's give a margin of 50 px. Okay. Now you can see what is the difference between outline and border. Okay. The border surrounds the padding or the content, and the outline surrounds the border. And border is the part of box model, so it will affect, do remember, it will affect the height and width of the element, but outline didn't change anything. If I change the border here, so you can see how it is affecting the content. You can see how it is affecting the content. But if I simply change the outline here, see, it is not affecting the content, or it is not providing any changes into the element. So this is the difference between border and outline. And this is what I mean when I say it affect the content or the element, or if it doesn't affect the content or the element. So there are different attributes to the border also. If you write, what if I want to curve my border around the element or around the content? So there is something called border radius. Border radius, and if you give 20 px, let's give 20 px and close it. So see how it curved the border. So border radius basically curves your edges of the border. And if you want a full control over it, so we have something like the top left radius, and it will just curve the top left of the border. If you want to curve the top right, so you can write border top right, and it will just curve the top right of the radius. So these are different properties and attributes that you can use in the border. There is something called border style also, border style. And if you give the style, so what is this border style? It is nothing but type of border you want. If you want, let's say, a dotted border, so I'll just write dotted, and you can see I got a dotted border. Okay. If you want to give a dashed border, so you will just write dashed, and you will get a dashed border. So these are the different styles of border you can use, and these are the different properties of border itself. There is there is a very unique property of outline that is called outline offset. If you apply this outline cut, if you apply this outline offset, so basically it tells the what should be the distance between your border and your outline that you are making. So this is outline offset. So if I want a bit of space, so I can just write 5 px, and there will be a small spacing between your border and your outline which you can give. So these are few properties of outline that are very necessary and that are used very frequently. So I hope you understood about the border and outline and their differences. This was all about border and outline. So I hope you guys understood. We have already uploaded exercises. You can go and do the exercise of outline border. If you have any question, you can go and you can read the tutorials. If you still have any query, you can just go to the Let's Discuss forum, and you can add your query here, and we will be answering all your queries. And again, we have uploaded the interview questions for the CSS, and if you want, you can just use a hashtag CSS, and the interview questions for the CSS will come. We have questions for outline interview question and CSS border interview question. You can go and check it out. I hope you guys liked the video. In the next video, we are going to learn about the box model of the CSS, which is one of the major important topic of the CSS that is going to tell you how to style your CSS, how to get a good styling idea about the CSS. So I recommend don't miss it out. So subscribe to Quipoin and stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for watching this video, guys.